Hey folks, back once again, playing my Squire Affinity series Strat, and still loving it, still stays in perfect tune. And what I want to discuss today is I'm playing through my Peavey Vypyr VIP 1, which I've been doing videos on lately, and I said that I would do more of. This is one that I've been wanting to do for a while. Perhaps you've bought your VIP 1 and realized that you need to update the firmware. Well, if you're on Windows, that's not a problem. Most of Peavey software that I can find is compatible with Windows. However, if you're on a Mac, that's a slight issue. And what I wanted to talk about today is how to update your Peavey Vypyr VIP firmware for the Mac. So I'm going to put my guitar down just for a second, and we're going to go over to the screen and talk to you about how and where to go to find the correct tools to do this. Okay, so let's go ahead and switch over to the screen, and here we are. Hopefully this will be showing correctly. First, where I want to take you to is the Peavey forum. You can find that by going to peavey.com/forum. Also, if you go to peavey.com, let's see here. Not exactly sure where that would be here. Maybe it's down here somewhere. Peavey forum right here. See that? Peavey forum. Alright, if you go there, this is where I found the answers. Now, I'm pretty good at researching things on the internet and being able to usually find what I want with just a few, keyword searches and things like that. And it took forever, seems like, to find the update on how to do this using a Mac. So this is the first link I want to take you to right here. View the topic here, and that's the link. And I'm going to leave these links below in the videos, in this video, in the show more area, so that you can go to these and look at some specific instructions on how to do this for a Mac. All right, so let's read some of these. This was back in 2014. The topic is VIP firmware update on a Mac using Crossover. Hello, I just got my VIP 2 a few weeks ago, and so far I am loving it. I would like to get the firmware updated, and I was just wondering if anyone has tried using Crossover or Wineskin to update the firmware from a Mac. I would also like to hear any thoughts or warnings on this method before I try it out. Would hate to kill this amp so soon into owning it. Now, Crossover and Wineskin basically are softwares that you can read Windows extensions and Windows applications on your Mac. Now, I've used Wineskin before, didn't have any luck with it, and I wanted to find something else to do this with. So, we'll read down here. This one says, the original question was posted by Rabo. Hank ST says, I haven't updated my VIP 1 yet, but I used SysX Librarian on my Vypyr 75, and it worked very well. Now, this is not the VIP model. This is the original Vypyr series, is what I'm guessing anyway. And keep that in mind. We'll go to that here in just a little bit and talk about this. And let's see what this one says. Thanks. This is a reply from Rabo. Thanks, Hank ST. That helped me a lot. I used SysX Librarian from Snowy's. It worked perfectly. My attempt at using Crossover were unsuccessful. The program started up okay, but it would not recognize the VIP as being connected, even though it showed up in audio/MIDI setup. When I did see the firmware update, I had no guitar cord plugged in and made sure to disable the demo mode on startup. I also did the update over USB and had no issues at all. Now, I've already got the demo mode disabled on my VIP, and you do that by pressing, I think, let me look at the amp here. I believe it's either the B in the D buttons or the C in the D buttons. There, if you'll look up on Google, Peavey VIP. Actually, if I look up on my bookmarks here, I've got a ton of them here on Chrome. So if I go to Peavey, actually Vypyr VIP. Let's see, I just seen that too. Where did I see that? I can't even remember. If I type in Peavey, then it should show up. Read this first. Okay, Vypyr. Tips, tricks. Let me go ahead and edit that because that didn't show up like I wanted to. Vypyr VIP. Tips and tricks. Read this first. Peavey forum. Alright, so let's go to that. And this is the link for that. I'll go ahead and leave that one too. This is the owner's manual and some information that isn't in the manual. You can disable the light show, which is demo mode, by holding down the preset 3 and 4 buttons during power up. Okay, for this, 3 and 4 is C and D. They're labeled C and D. They're labeled by letters instead of numbers. Okay, so this says Vypyr, not Vypyr VIP. Okay, so apparently the Vypyr is labeled a little bit differently, but there are other ways if you want to look up Vypyr VIP tips and tricks or something on the forum or on Google, you'll be able to find that. Okay, so there's a few things here that you could use. A lot of times they can work on both the regular Vypyr and the Vypyr VIP. I think I have it here printed off actually. Yes, VIP optional features. I'll need to the operational features. Let me see if I can find that in my other bookmark. Sorry, this is taking a little bit longer than I thought. I hadn't expected this point to come up. Let me go back over here. Okay, let's just do this. VIP optional features. Well, it seems I cannot find that actual link. So let's go back to this and see if I can find it there. Nope, still don't know. Anyway, sorry about all that. Basically, let me see, I've got an actual thing here. C and D do toggle or enable and disable the demo mode. Let me go ahead and switch back to the camera and I will actually hold this up for you so that you can see what it looks like. The power up button combinations, that's right here, okay? You can look at those for a minute. And like I said, I don't know exactly where the link is. I'll probably try to look at that and research that and find that for you. Okay, so now that you got a good look at that, all these buttons do these different things. B and C, I don't think that works because that is something to do with the sandpaper foot switch. But I will look this up, and if I can find the link, I will definitely install it below. This is called VIP operational features. All right. I don't know where I got this at. It doesn't have a link, but I actually found the manual online and printed it out. And somewhere I found that. But anyway, let's go back to the screen and we'll talk about what happens next. Okay, so that was the tricks and tips or whatever. Okay, so that was the first one. Now remember we talked about SysX Librarian. Okay, here's the second one. This is the link for this, and there's a little bit more information about this. Firmware for VIP2. DCOY USA, Decoy USA says, I recently had a bad experience with a firmware update for my Vypyr VIP2. I updated the wrong firmware and it killed the ROM chip. So what I want to know is, number one, is firmware 1.62 for all the VIPs 1, 2, and 3? Number two, what is the advantage of upgrading to 1.62? What bugs does it fix and what enhancements to the amp affects, etc.? Number three, what bugs are there to look out for? Like I said, I'm skittish about updating because my last experience cost me 2 weeks of waiting after I only bought the amp 4 days before. Okay. Alright, the change log for the Vypyr edit includes changes for the firmware. This is where you go to find that change log, but basically here's the update for firmware 1.62. Once you update your firmware, right now it's currently 1.61, but if you update it to 1.62, after you get it in the mail or wherever you buy it, the AMP now broadcasts when presets are changed with Sampera. The next edit beta will implement. Not exactly sure what that means because I don't use Sampera foot switch. But these next three do apply. It boosts the Mong output level, it boosts the Octifer output level, and it adds a noise gate to the Butcher Red model amp. This is for all three models, and if you want to use the latest version of Vypyr Edit, you'll need the latest firmware. That is, once again, if you are on Windows. For Mac, we're going to do something different. It is a must if you want to use Vypyr Edit, I believe. Now, that's another point, Vypyr Edit. You can't find that for Mac. I had to actually email Peavey, and they gave me the link to that, and I'll share that with you as well. I wanted to show my findings. I did successfully update my firmware. It took me 2 times. And here's basically what I looked at and to help me figure out how to do this the right way, okay? Updated 3.01. This is when they're using the updater for Windows. But anyway, followed the directions exactly. Plugged in the USB, turned down the volume, unplugged the guitar cord, turned the amp off, and then on. Started the updater. When the program was done, I had red lights on the low bass knob. Okay, so that's one of the knobs on the Peavey amp. It turned red. Restarted the amp, checked the version, it said still it was 1.59. Number 2, the next step we did is I did the same thing, but then I plugged in my guitar cord. See, it was unplugged up here, now he unplugged it. He plugged it back in. He saw this on someone else's post, and he ran the updated program once again. It ended with green lights on the low knob instead of the red lights here. And it updated to 1.62. I'm happy. Okay, so I used a different updater because this was for Windows, but I still looked at these as kind of like a guideline of what to look for to make sure I updated it correctly. One thing you can gain from my bad experience, which there should be warnings on the website, hint hint. Number 1, Peavey Vypyr firmware is different. That's very important. Than Peavey Vypyr VIP firmware. These are 2 different animals and should be treated with much caution. That's very important. If you want to update your Vypyr VIP firmware, use what it specifies for VIP firmware. And I'll show you where that is here in a minute. Thank you, Kevin Budlosh at Peavey, for the info on bug fixes, updates, etc. Is there any way that the info could be put on the website, like underneath the firmware downloader? Okay, so that's what other people's issues were. And I decided to bookmark these, and I have them bookmarked on Chrome so I can have them for easy reference if I ever need to do this again. So this works for all 3, VIP 1, 2, or 3, whichever amp you have. To update your firmware using Mac, we're going to go back, first of all, and go to the software for Peavey. And this is the link to that, and here's how you get to it. You go to peavey.com, you'll go to support, okay? You go to software right here. Alright, now what we're looking for, as we just read, we want the VIP software, not the Vypyr Tube, not the Vypyr Pro, unless you have a Vypyr Pro, not anything else. It's got to be Vypyr VIP, okay? Now, these are all Windows programs, alright? So what we're going to look for is Vypyr VIP firmware 1.6.2, okay? You're going to click on that and you're going to download it. It's going to have a thing pop up. Now remember, we're using a Mac, so we download that wherever we want to. I'll put it in my downloads folder. I'll save it. And it says a SYX file. Very important, okay? And I'll show you why in just a second. Now it's in my downloads folder, and if I go to show in folder, it will pop up. All right, we have downloads right here. Right there. All right, so we'll table that for a second. Now that we have that, we need to go back and find this SysX librarian from Snoise. Alright, the easiest way to find that is I typed in SysX librarian and it pulled right up. Here's the first thing, snoise.com/SysX librarian. I click on that. And we have this. Okay, there's some other programs if you would like to use those, if you want to. Alright, what SysX Librarian is an app to let your Mac communicate with MIDI devices using system-exclusive messages, also known as SysX. Now, what was that? What was that document we just downloaded? It was a SYX, a SysX, pretty much. The most common use is to back up patch data from synthesizers, although there are other uses such as sending firmware updates. Bam, that's what we need to do, is send a firmware update to our VIP amp. Okay? Alright, so this tells you all about this stuff and what it does and all this, but all you have to do is you download it, and this is basically a MIDI communicator that communicates with MIDI devices, or in our case with our amplifier. So we download this. I'm going to put it in the same folder. Alright. And it's got a few seconds left. That's fine. What you're going to do is you are going to open that and install it on your Mac. If you've ever installed anything, you should know how to install a program. It's going to do that for you. And once you install it, tell it where to go. Then you can open up the program. Let me go ahead and do that real quick. It's a zip file, but if I click on it, it will open it up for me, and it will begin the installation process. Okay, so it's going to expand that for me using the archive utility here, and it automatically opens it where I have it located, which I've already got it set up to do that. You can do all that by changing those preferences in your archive utility. You just go to your Spotlight here, type in archive utility, and then open it up. I've got it saved here on my dock here because it's in the utilities. It's not in your applications folder, it's in the utilities folder. And then from there you can go to preferences, and then you tell it what you want to have happen to your backup files. Okay, that's just my settings. If you want to look at those real quick, that's the way I like mine. I like mine to be moved to a zip backup folder, and I like it to expand in the same directory as the archive that I opened. So in this case, this archive, this zip file, was in downloads, the downloads folder. I wanted to expand it, and when it expanded, I want it to be located in the same folder so I don't have to search all over the place for finding it. Okay. Reveal the expanded item in the Finder, and it did that. It pulled right up in the downloads folder, so I didn't have to search for it. It pulled it right up for me. And then these other things you can kind of experiment with. So we're going to quit archive utility. Now we have SysX Librarian, and just by chance, it's set as version 1.3.1. I already have SysX Librarian open. Let's see if it's the latest version here. Let's check for updates. It's currently the newest version. That's the one I just have. Okay, so now I don't need this because I've already got it installed. Alright, so what we're going to do is I'm going to go ahead and plug my USB cord into my Peavey amp, okay? And it's a printer cord. It's a printer cable, okay? You plug in your USB amp. I don't know if you can see it, but it's right here. Right there. I'm going to take and plug it in. First of all, I'm going to leave the guitar plugged in, everything. I'm going to turn it off. I'm going to plug it in. And I'm going to turn it back on. Okay? Alright, so it looks like normal. Everything looks like normal. Let's go back and view what this one here said. Plug in the USB, turn down the volume, unplug the cord, turn the amp off and on. So and then it's started the updater. So that was what it looked like with the amp off. I plugged it in, turned it on. So let's try it. Let's see what happens if I leave it in, turn it off, plug it back. Turn it back on. Same thing. So now what I'm going to do is come up here to SysX Librarian, and show you what's going on here. Okay. So what I need to do is I need to add to library, or you can do the plus little symbol down here, plus, and make this work. And then you're going to go to downloads, and now I'm going to add that VIP2 SYX. Okay, now when I do that and I click open, it's going to pull it up. It's already in here, okay? So Vypyr MIDI in, notice that. It appears right here. It didn't before. Before I had that plugged in, this was not there. The only option was this. But now I can go Vypyr MIDI in, push play, okay, and cross my fingers and hope this works and not messes my amp up, because I've already got it saved. So let's push play. It says play back the selected file. That will send this information to the Vypyr. Alright, I'm going to click play. First of all, let me go ahead and share the screen, or go back to the video so we can see what happens on the amp. So you can see some lights here. If I click play, let's see what happens. It says sending message 2 of 105. Now notice this one right here. That's the low. It tells me it's moving. It's orange. It tells me that it is communicating. So if I switch back real quick, you can see right here, sending message 7 of 105. So it's 105 bits of information that it's sending to my amplifier. Okay. And when this is done, we'll see what happens to these lights here. Okay. So I'm just going to leave it here, and we'll see what happens. According to the other. According to this updater thing, remember he said it ended with green lights on the low knob and was updated to 1.62. Okay, so that's what we're looking for here. So let's see what happens. We'll just patiently wait for this. Now I'm seeing a green right there. I don't know if that was on before, but there's a green light next to that low knob on the mid knob. Okay, so it's still got a little bit ways to go. We'll be patient with this, not interrupt it, not do anything like that. There's also a way, while I'm thinking about it, to check which version of the VIP software that you have. Okay. Now this is a pretty long paragraph, so let me see if I can see about doing this here. You can still see that. It's almost halfway there. Since VIP 1 and VIP 2 do not have a front panel display, they don't have an LED display, they can show the software version digits one at a time on the front panel LEDs. When this feature, called the show code version feature, is selected during power up, the code version is displayed 3 times, each time in a different color. There are 3 digits in the software version number. The first 3 instrument type LEDs are used to tell which digit is currently being displayed, and the LEDs on the adjacent encoder are used to show the digit value. 1 instrument LED is illuminated when the first digit is being displayed. 2 instrument type LEDs are illuminated while the second digit is displayed, and 3 instrument type LEDs are illuminated while the third digit is being displayed. The number of encoder LEDs that are on for each digit tells the value of the digit. If no encoder LEDs are on, the value of the digit is 0. If 1 is on, the value of the digit is 1, etc. The highest number of encoder LEDs that can be on for any digit is 9. It takes roughly 15 seconds to display the version 3 times in the separate LED colors. Note this capability is not provided in VIP 3 since the software version appears on the VIP 3 front panel during power up. The VIP software version is also displayed on the Sampire 2 when the VIP power is turned on. See power up buttons combinations to see how to select the shellcode version function. Okay, now these were the button combinations we just talked about. Shellcode revision on LEDs. You press the A and the D button, the top and the bottom button, and that's where the instruments are. By the way, you can probably see green lights on this now. If I show this to you, that's the progress. See those green LEDs? That's the progress of how long this is taking. So it's pretty cool because it's showing me how far it's done. It's almost done. It's about 3/4 of the way there. So press A and D when you power the thing up. These LEDs will blink a certain amount of times to let you know which version of the software you're using. So there will be a 1 LED, a 6 blinks for 1.6, point either 1 or 2. If it's still 1, then you haven't updated it correctly. But if it's 2, then you have. So I'll do that after this is over with, and we'll see what that means. Almost done. It's on 96 of 105. Okay, so sorry if this is taking a while. Don't know how long the video has been going on. About almost 30 minutes. This is how long the video has been going on. Okay, so it's done. Now, this is almost done. This is almost all the way. That's mid. The green is almost all the way. We're going to wait for that low to change. Okay? The one that's spinning, we're going to wait for that to change. It's going backwards. It's almost done. And green. All the lights are green, so it should have worked now. Alright, so now what we're going to do is we're going to turn this off, unplug our MIDI controller here. I'm going to stand up so that you can see what's going on the other side here. Okay, we are looking for this to show us version 1.6.1. So I'm going to turn this on, and I'm going to hold down the A and the D buttons here. We've got a webcam, so I can't move the camera with me, so we're going to try to make this fast. I'm going to turn this on, holding the A and D buttons down. A and D buttons are down. Okay, so that's 1, 6, 2. Next color, 1, 6 LEDs, 2 LEDs. Next color, 1, 6, 2. Therefore, I have correctly turned on and updated my firmware to 1.6.2. And now all these settings should be fine, which earlier I'd already updated this. But now we can see it's completed. And now the software that I had earlier, the MOG should be louder than before. That's the green setting. I'm on the Buddha amp. Here's the yellow setting, which is crunch. And here's the red lead setting on the same amp. Now it's kind of low compared to the green, but let me tell you, before I did this, when I first got the amp, on my video that I just released, I think it was last week, the one that's the kind of like an overview / first impressions, I think is what it is. It was pretty low. The MOG was low. Okay, and here's the octaver. Here's what it sounds like. Once again on the green. Make sure I got the right one here. Okay, let's put it on the orange channel and the lead channel. Okay, so that's pretty cool. All right, and the last thing was it was supposed to put a noise gate on the Buddha, which is what I'm using. So you can't really hear it there. Hear that? A lot of that has to do with the angle that I have on my guitar. Hear that kind of fading out? Alright, so now you know how to update the firmware on your VIP either 1, 2, or 3 using SysX Librarian. Alright, So you can go back and rewind this and find all that information. Let me just close with how to install VIP editor for your let me find it here, for your VIP. I'm going to plug this USB back in. That's about as good as it gets for using the Mac, as far as I can find, using the Mac with the VIP. I haven't found a way to use, I haven't really experimented that much with it, to use this to record from the USB out to the Mac. For some reason, it doesn't really recognize it as an input on the audio/video/MIDI settings. But thankfully, it does have a stereo quality, CD quality, studio quality. That's what I'm looking for. Studio quality audio output, so that you can use an audio jack, a 3.5mm, and plug it up to your computer's either sound card or with an adapter, plug it into your audio interface and record from that. Or you can just mic it up like a lot of people do. Alright, so we go ahead and close 6X Librarian. I don't need that anymore. I don't even know when I'll ever use that, but I'm keeping that on my computer just in case I need to. So let me show you real quick how to get the VIP editor, which is edit right here, VIP Vypyr Edit 1.0. That's for Windows. So to get it, I had to email Peavey, and they sent me this link. Okay, and I'll give you this link as well. When you click on that, it actually is a download link. So it will have you download that, and that is a package file for the Mac. Okay, now I've already got that installed, and that is down here. So if I click on VIP Vypyr Edit 1, here's what happens. Give me just a second. It's loading. Vypyr Edit. Alright. Please select your hardware configuration. The USB interface. MIDI out port. MIDI in. I don't know. I'm just going to select those and see what happens. Okay, so it's on booted right now. If I take and let's just see what happens. I'm going to change the low. So let's see what the low does if I change it on here. See that? Isn't that awesome? I'm using the amp to change that. Now if I change that on this, I can actually see it change on the amp. So that's very cool. If you're like across the room and your amp's on the other side of the room, you want to be able to change these amps up and all that stuff, you can do that. So I can take the octave up, octave down, I can change all that stuff, make it sound different, give it a little bit of delay, reverb. And this is very, very primitive, to tell you the truth. This is cool. I didn't see this before. You can have some jam tracks you can play along with. So if I play this, let's see what happens. Let me turn my speakers on. Now I can't change things as I play along because it obviously turned that off. If I go to learn, you can download lessons from VIP. So peavey.com/VIP. So let's go there real quick and see what that gives us. This is the actual product for the amplifiers. Now let's see, if I type in find and learn, I'll see that here. Vypyr VIP series, that's what we're looking for. So let's view products. Okay, learn is still not there. Let's do Vypyr VIP 1. Okay, so I still don't see where that lessons. If I type in lessons, get lessons and practice and backing tracks while connected to your computer. I don't see where lessons are at. So I'm not exactly sure where that comes in. So if I go back to VIP 2, let's see what happens there. Same deal. So I'll have to do this. Vypyr VIP lessons. Get lessons. Demonstration. I haven't gotten this far with using my Vypyr. I'm sure there's a way you can do it. Like this is the Vypyr edit demonstration. It probably gives you how to do that, how to find the lessons on there. So, but anyway, that's how you install it. You just go to that link, open it up, and it gives you the Vypyr VIP gear here that you can use. Okay, so, and I can go to, let's see, I go to the amp. I can change the amp here. I can go to twin, trace acoustic, acoustic, trace Elliott, Peavey bass. I can go to all these different amps, all these different stomp boxes I can go to. This is really cool that I can do all this stuff. Pretty sure this is auto wah. Yeah, auto wah. So these are all the effects that are actually on your amp. Now instrument is bypassed currently, but now there's acoustic. I can do bass. I can do, I don't know what bypass is for. I guess that means where you're using the electric guitar. That's what I've got on right now. And you can name this preset. And let's see. You can save your preset. You can write the preset to the amp. You can load the bank into the amp. You can save a bank. So that's pretty cool. I mean, you can add all this extra stuff on your computer without having to tweak with the knobs, and you get a visual representation of that instead of just a bunch of knobs that don't really mean much of anything. Your MIDI in device, that's the ones we just selected earlier. Demo mode, amp info, there's your firmware. Oh, so that's cool. Let's see what the demo mode is. I see that, but I don't see anything that happens. But anyway, so that's really cool. You can start tweaking your amp right from the get-go. All right, so guys, I appreciate you watching and staying tuned. I hope this has been informative for you. For the VIP edit software and the VIP firmware for Peavey. Sorry that it has to be kind of difficult like this, but really once you get it going and you set it up, it's not that difficult at all. You just have to get it to communicate with your computer using SysX Librarian. Once again, I will leave all the links that I showed you, the main ones anyway, that are most important, in the show more area below. And I think that's pretty much it. I'm going to get off here and maybe see if I can come up with another video. Maybe on, I'd like to do another video on those little shortcuts and optional features. So maybe I'll get off here and try to find that and then do that video as well, so I can show you all the stuff that you can do on that. All right, thanks so much guys for watching. I'm going to get off here and try to make some more videos while I'm in the mood for it. And so I'll see you guys later, and keep playing. And keep tuning in to the channel. We'll give you some more guitar lessons and some more bluegrass and electric guitar, all this stuff. I'm just guitar happy right now. I've been wanting to play for a while, so I'm getting back into the creativity of it. So stop rambling here. I never know how to end these things. So just thanks so much for watching. Please subscribe if you like this. Click the like button. And we'll see you on the next video, whatever that may be. Thanks so much, and God bless.